All right, so welcome to my military welcoming school project. I'm going to be focusing on the University of Wisconsin Stevens Place. So on the agenda today is to discuss the demographics of UWSP, specifically regarding military involved students, the University of Wisconsin Stevens Place Financial Aid and Veteran Services Department. If it's military welcoming, I'll be going through touching on a student interview that I conducted and then connecting it to the coursework, and lastly, going over references. So UWSP is a medium-sized school in a town locale according to the GI comparison tool. It provides tuition benefit of 100% in-state tuition, which for our institution is $4,188 a semester or $8,376 for the year. They also provide a housing benefit of about $1,200 a month, and then a book stipend of $1,000 for the year. And there are approximately 351 GI Bill students attending UWSP. So jumping into the department, and so Veteran Services at UWSP is actually merged with their financial aid department. That merger occurred, I believe, in 2021. Formerly, they were separate departments, so now they are together. So I did a pretty good deep dive into the website for this department, and they define themselves, they self-identify as military friendly. They say because faculty, staff, student government, and the general student population have an attitude of openness, care, and concern for both the academic success and emotional health for those who have served our country. So if you briefly look at the staffing branch, there is one staff member, a coordinator for veteran services. Their main job points, as listed on the website, are to assist students with understanding federal and state benefits, connecting students with resources on campus, and connecting them to other veterans, and then connecting with faculty and staff on campus to support them in supporting our student veterans. And so they also have notably a veterans FAQ page, which I thought was actually really helpful. And so some of the three most notable questions I felt like were, how can I notify the VA that I've dropped a course? When will I get paid? And how much money does the GI Bill pay? There were several other questions on there, and I'm going to put a screenshot of the website in a later slide. So here is the landing page of the department webpage. They have some photos here of students, and assumedly those students are student veterans, so them in their gear and then in pointer gear. Excuse me, right at the bottom there you can see about the role of the veteran coordinator. And then on the left, you can see all the information that they do provide, separated by new students, continuing students, benefits, required documents, credit for military experience, which we'll touch on later, active duty absence information, veteran services FAQs, which I'll show you next, the Vets Club, student, faculty, staff, resources, and then they are able to, it's an open message box where students can submit a question. So here is that FAQ page that I talked about, which you can see the number of questions that are on this page. This is not even all of them, but I did appreciate that they had so many questions in one spot so that students are able to, or prospective students are able to kind of click through, get a general idea of what's going on, or get really specific questions answered without needing to reach out to the office and, wait for the answer. So, is UWSP a military welcoming institution or not? My assessment is overall yes, but there are some significant areas for growth, which I will touch on. So I chose to do an interview with a student that I know. He did not want his photo put up here, but here's just some demographic info he was comfortable with me sharing. His name is Jake. He's 28 years old, a non-traditional student. He's a resource management major and a forest recreation minor with a certificate in fire science. He's a senior this year, expected to graduate in May. He joined the military fresh out of high school at the age of 18. He joined the Army, and he received an honorable medical discharge in 2015, so just 1 year after he served in the military after getting injured. So here are a couple of my biggest takeaways from talking with Jake. So the biggest thing that Jake had to say is that he had no idea really what was going on when he was discharged from the military. He initially joined the military because he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. And so when he got discharged, he was kind of left in that same place. He said they didn't provide him too much information on what it would look like to transition back to, civilization, quote unquote. And so when he talked to his parents and decided, okay, I'm kind of done doing he was working at like Walmart. I'm done doing that. So what's next? And college came up. He didn't really know what to do. So he chose UWSP, but he didn't know about the GI Bill, the Wisconsin GI Bill. So he paid for his first 2 semesters with student loans. There is a man in my department. His name is Tom Garten. He is a veteran. He served for a number of years, and he's worked at UWSP for 30 years as our building superintendent. And Jake is employed by him as a member of our project crew. And so Jake told me that he got lucky with this job and meeting Tom. And after disclosing his veteran status and just like common conversation, Tom was like, wait, why are you paying for school? Like, kind of just stopped and was like, we need to figure this out. Encouraged him to reach out to Veteran Services after he kind of shared his paperwork and some information about his service. And so that was the first that Jake had heard about our financial aid and veteran services department. So he did connect with the coordinator at that time. It's now a different person. But that person was able to connect him with the Portage County, that's in Wisconsin, Portage County Veteran Services Department. Because of the injuries, Jake began to kind of experience some medical problems, and so he needed to get the paperwork, like in his medical records, to start looking into what treatment would look like, and obviously getting that paid for by the military. He had documentation that he was fine when he entered the military, and now has a lot of physical problems. So he also has now been able to get his school paid since his sophomore year of high school and get those benefits as far as the stipend goes. He still does choose to work. He enjoys working for a project crew, but he has those benefits now. Something that he noted was that because of the physical concerns that he's been having post-military, I just asked him what his experience has been like on campus overall, and he said that he often has a tough time with the chairs that are in his classes, that because he has some like spine things going on, if like the chairs pinch his nerves in a way that can cause him to lose feelings in his legs. That was just really interesting. I asked him if he had reached out to Disability Resource Center or the Veteran Services Department to kind of see if he can get those things addressed. He said that he felt like the Veteran Services Department was helpful, but that it would be like not a waste of his time, but just like a lot of time and energy to address something that now he's only on campus left for a year. But I did still feel like that was relevant and needed to be mentioned here. So to kind of start connecting Jake in UWSP's department to our class material, the biggest thing is a lack of knowledge, right? So from that video that we watched from the Veterans Ed Project, the first guy, I believe his name is Alex, he literally says, there's a lot of people that have no idea about the application process, or anything to do with how the VA works or how the GI Bill works or the post 9/11 GI Bill works. Jake is a literal in-person example of that. He had no idea what was going on when he went to apply for college and all those things, and thusly he's out some money. I'm not sure if he's able to get refunded for that, or if he's even interested in like what it is to go into that process, but that's obviously like thousands of dollars that now he shouldn't have had to pay, but he did because he just didn't have the knowledge about the process. In the Humphrey article, they list out some factors to consider when kind of analyzing if an institution is military friendly or welcoming. And so I just wanted to kind of reference the several things that they pointed out, like a liaison or service director. We do have one of those, that coordinator that I mentioned. We have centralized services merged with our financial aid department, but we still do have a department. Our university does have counseling services, but the wait list can get pretty hefty depending on the time of the semester. I'm unsure if we have associations like professional ones. I wasn't able to find that information in my research. Credits, we're going to talk about that a little bit next. Student veteran organizations, yes. We do have a UWSP Vets Club. They have their own physical office in our university center. They fall under the branch of the Alliance for Non-Traditional Students student organization. And then did I have a web presence? Yes, I attached a couple of screenshots that we were able to look at of the UWSP Veteran Services website. So the military service for academic credit is something that in our discussion post from last week, a lot of us mentioned. So I was glad to see that there is a web page or a subpage on the website dedicated to what this looks like. These are some of the things I pulled from the web page that I thought were interesting. So completion of basic training, once you submit your documentation and it's reviewed, that is going to get you a minimum of 4 credits at UWSP. Is that a lot? No, but it seems like right off the bat, as long as you get that approval, you're at 4 credits. If you complete basic training and basic life support training and CPR, that gets you another credit. It's kind of like a general education type of credit that they have here. If you do the 2 above, so basic training, basic life support training, and CPR, plus combat lifesaver training, that gets you an additional 2 credits. And then a lot of majors here require some kind of experiential or field learning. Especially in the natural resource majors like Jake is in, they have to complete, field projects, field studies, several credits a semester. That is literally just going outside and perhaps, analyzing plants or things like that. And so if a veteran student has achieved 24 credit hours at UWSP, they can meet with an experiential learning mentor, reflect upon the connections between their military service, their coursework in a written way, and can possibly be exempt from that requirement or receive the credits in exchange for that experiential learning requirement. Again, not every major requires that, but if your major does, I thought that was a pretty interesting opportunity. So overall, I really do feel like UWSP is a military welcoming institution. However, they really need to work on bridging that gap between high school and college, or a military service and college, whatever it is that students need to be educated on what it's going to look like. I see high school to college because the students are unsure what they want to do and are kind of comparing the benefits of college before military service, college after military service, college versus military service, that kind of thing. So being more transparent and having that information more readily available, I think, is really important for students like Jake, so that they can understand what their options are and the benefits are, and understand the process as well. When you fill out applications in the FAFSA, it always asks you if you are a veteran or a dependent of a veteran. And so I think, I'm not sure if they do this, but really emphasizing that intentional outreach to every student that selects yes to that question, to get resources and information into their hands, and just so that they're able to make a well-informed decision. And lastly, here is my reference page. Thank you so much.